Alright, this is OG Fantasy, and this will be a combination of a item tier list and a fruit tier list for GPO Update 4. So in S tier we have the Logias. Nothing has really changed except for Goro, Magu, and the new addition, which is Suna. Magu is up here again because, as all of you know, it got a buff. Goro is in A tier, at least in my opinion. I do think you're like, what are you talking about? This hasn't really changed, but Goro is the worst out of almost all the Logias. Like, I'd have to say that Hiei, Hiei might be better than Goro now in terms of trading value. Goro, Foyu, you auto buff Goro. Like it's down bad. Like you auto buff Goro. Like in my opinion, you ought to play this shit for yourself and see if that shit needs a buff instead of listening to the niggas that whine every day on how to improve your game. Okay, second of all, we have the new fruit Suna, which in my opinion, Suna's trading value is probably through the roof right now. Like it's probably you could probably trade Suna for 3 Logias, is what I'm trying to say. Same thing with Gomu. Gomu is literally worth multiple Logias for some odd ass reason. And same thing with Tori. Candy Cane would also be right here right now, as you all know. So I did most of the fruits. These fruits, in terms of value, haven't really changed. Next we have Trident armor type shit in A tier, obviously. If you have all of the Trident drops and all of the CVs drops, I do think you should be able to trade it for a Logia. That's just my opinion. Next are Striker and Coffin. These items haven't really changed in value, but I do think they are worth, if you have both of them, a Logia. Next we have Golden Hook. I do think Golden Hook is probably the bottom of this list, along with Bells. They aren't really worth anything, at least in my opinion. Bells isn't worth anything. Golden Hook maybe to a Suna user, like Striker user is to a Mera user, but other than that, it isn't really worth anything. Kraken Core, the rarest obtainable item in the game. I don't know what it's doing in A tier. In my opinion, Kraken Core should be in S tier. It is the rarest obtainable item in the game, and you should treat it as such. If people are treating Tori, Tori's shit has not changed. It's literally Tori's value bubbles between 4 and 2 Logias. But in my opinion, this is the rarest obtainable item in the game, which means it's rarer than a Tori. So I don't really know what's really wrong with the GPO trading community. Next we have the hats, which they're in A tier, obviously because they're icy. Same with the cape. The bouquet and the Elos hammer, I do think they're going to go up in value as the updates increase and as GPO kind of runs its lifespan. The value is gonna go up. But for now, they're in A tier. Next we have the rares. In my opinion, by themselves, they're probably at the bottom of B tier. But if you have all the rares together, you could continuously trade them up for more items. Like I had 3 rares and I was able to get all of the Elo drops plus more than I had just because I had 3 rares. Next you have the Musashi Drops. These items, I would put them in A tier because they are literally better than the Kraken Drops. In terms of damage, they are better than the Kraken Drops. But actually, no, hell no. Okay, no. I'm putting this shit in A tier. You only have 5 chances to get these items. You could farm Krakens till the day you die, but you only have 5 chances to get these items. These items, in my opinion, should be rarer than fucking Kraken Drops. Second of all, we have the CB score. I do think the CB score is worth a couple rares or another legendary. I know some people that have traded CB score for when update first dropped. People who traded CB score for Logias, good ass. Next we have Whitebeard Cape. Whitebeard Cape is kind of been dethroned. I would say I put Whitebeard Cape in A tier last time, but Whitebeard Cape is now in B tier. Next we have Hoverboard. Hoverboard's value, at least in my opinion, is only gonna go down from here. because like it was in A tier last time, now it's in B tier. In my opinion, like when more boats get added, all these are going to change. It's just fact. Next, we have these items. The reason why these items are in B tier and not in A tier, even though you can no longer get them, is because they have no value. Like, I mean, they do have value, but there's no demand. Therefore, there's no supply. Like, everybody has it, but there's no demand for it. What I mean is, like, look, you have these hats. These hats are much better than these hats, so why would you need that shit? Same thing with the bunnies. The bunnies are kind of useless. There really is no demand, so there's no supply, so on and so forth. Gravity Cane and Pole are really about the same. I don't really see them changing, but they aren't as good as the other weapons. I would say in terms of, like, if there was a weapon tier list, they would be low tier in my eyes. Next, we have the Sea Beast Drops. Sea Beast Armor, which is in C tier. I would really put it in D tier because it is kind of worthless, but you can add them on to shit that you're trading to make the shit that you're trading kind of even out with your with who you're trading with. Second is the Valentine's drop. There is no demand. There's no demand, so there is no supply. I guess that is the fucking that's like the lingo I'm gonna use for this video. There's no demand, so there's no supply. If like, even if this item is unobtainable, if I don't need it, if I don't want it, shit is ugly. If it isn't good, then why the fuck would you want to why the fuck would I want to trade you for it? Next, you have all these items. Probably if you had, like, say, I'm gonna just go do them in order, not in order like where I posted them. Okay, actually, yeah. So you have the new commons that dropped. In terms of like tradable, like the trade rarity and how good they are trading, they are in D tier. Most everybody can get this shit. You can get this shit from farming ships. I think he changed the drop rate actually on ships, because I've gotten more drops recently, like update 1 type beat. Like, it's kind of worthless, because if you go through a week of farming, you're most likely going to get these drops. I got these drops and all these drops in less than a day, so it's what it is. Next, we have some of the ELO drops, which is the Bunny Hood, the Rainbow Halo, the Easter Bunny Balloons, and the Easter Shades. These items are, in my opinion, by themselves pretty worthless, because most people who farmed ELO have most everything. And I know you're like, if these are worthless and everybody who farmed ELO has this, why is ELO's hammer here? In my opinion, even though ELO's hammer is in this tier, it is not worth a low tier. It's like ELO's hammer plus, but in terms of weapons, I would say it would be an A tier. Next, we have the items that you can only get from farming in dungeons. These are low tier because most people have been farming dungeons for like 2 or 4 updates if you count the 0.5s. They've been farming dungeons for a really long time, so most everybody has these drops. Next, we're gonna hit the Castle Guard. I mean, not the Castle Guard, the Sandora Guard outfit. It's like an uncommon. It's not that rare. It's practically useless because it doesn't give you. It's practically only for aesthetic, and it takes an armor slot. If it wasn't for aesthetic and you could like wear that shit like over your armor, then if it was like that shit, you could only like put that shit over your armor, but you can still keep the same thing. It would still be in D tier though, because it doesn't really give you anything. Next is the fruit tier list. The fruit tier list is really going here mainly because it's an addition video. Like, the fruit tier list, nothing has really changed if you really think about it, because this is in terms of value, this is in terms of PvP, PvE, and how they could be used overall. Here is seen its rare appearance in S tier since update 1. Pika and Magu are in S tier because they're good at farming and they're good at PvP. Suna's in S tier because it's good at farming and it's good at PvP. Mera and Hiei, they are decent. They are decent, like they're really good at one thing but decent at the other thing, so I can't really front. Goro is, in my opinion, kind of lackluster at PvP. Like, at PvP, and it's horrible at farming. Like it's literally shit. It's like shit at farming and okay at PvP. Tori is meh at both. I'd actually put this up. I'd actually put Tori at like the last one. In my opinion, Gravity is better at farming than Goro, but it's actually it's better at farming and it's better at PvP than Goro. Goro's worse at PvP than Goro, and it's worse at farming. And Tori's just there. It's good at farming, but and PvP, but it isn't really for everyone. But I just put it right here. It's only for good, like the meta. These fruits are in D tier. I'd actually put Kilo right there, mainly because is there spin? Okay, no, spin goes right here, and where is Suke? Okay, Suke is in D tier because it is the most worthless fruit, and there are better fruits than even in the same rarity now. Spin is probably the best fruit in the common rarity because it has like it just makes combo so free. Next is Kilo. Kilo isn't in D tier because in my opinion Kilo is better for like movability, like it has movement, and movement is a very very good thing to have in GPO. It's like in my opinion it's heaven and earth. Having no movement and having some movement is literally heaven and earth. I know people are saying that like it's practically as worse as Suke, but I beg to differ. Next we have the rares. Best being the worst being Bomu, Gomu, Pari, and Mero. Bomu's gonna stay where it is because it is literally, at least in my opinion, the best rare because it's really good at farming and it's really good at PvP. Secondly, for Gomu is a very, very good fruit at PvP, but I wouldn't really say it's a good fruit at PvE, mainly because it has no movement. It does have movement, but it does have movement, which is why I'm putting it under Bari, because Bomu does have movement. The movement Bomu has is, in my opinion, more usable than that. It has dashes and yeah. Right. Whereas Bomu only has like one like fling move. Next we have is Bari. Bari does have a movement move called Bari Staircase, but it isn't really that good for like farming. It's good for PvP though. Whereas Mero is not really good for farming. It's not really good for PvP. It's really just like a meh at both. Lastly, we have Spin. Spin is a god tier fruit at PvP. Like crazy. That shit is crazy. That shit is insane at PvP. But for farming, it's lackluster. The buffs that some of these fruits could get is for Spin, the flight. If it's going to take that much stamina, it should be faster. And if you don't want to buff the flight, make it take less stamina. Same thing for Kilo. You should be able to move fast up and down with Kilo. You change your weight instantly. It shouldn't be like you have to put 600 into Kilo to even be able to move up a little. And it should take less stamina. Second, Goro and Gura. For farming, you don't want. Okay, look. If he knows that if he makes Gomu and Gura do too much damage, they will be useless. So if it does too much damage, it'll be OP. Buff the cooldowns. I'll take buff the cooldowns. Fruits up here have less cooldowns, yet they do more damage. Fruits over here have hella cooldowns, yet they don't do as much damage. These fruits, they're alright. This needs a rework. Tori needs a complete rework. I know you're not gonna do it, but it needs a rework. Because where it's at right now is completely horrendous. Like, I don't know how you thought of the fruit. Gravity is actually at a very, very good spot right now, at least in my opinion. Like I feel like if you would buff it, it would be too OP. That's really it for the fruits. Also, if you were to add the chop fruit, the chop fruit would be an A tier or a B tier, depending on if you would be able to hit it with swords or not. Well, that's it for the fruit tier list. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe and leave me a little something in the comments. Thanks.